Now, good afternoon, Mr. Mekas.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for doing this and for sharing your thoughts and your history with people from all over the world.
Yeah.
I spoke with Richard Foreman some time ago, and he insisted that I speak with you. And he said you were one of the pioneers of Soho, of cinema in Soho, of performance in Soho.
Soho itself.
And Soho itself. Can you describe how you got there and what?
My friend George Maciunas,
Right.
M-A-C-I-U-N-A-S,
Right.
because some people have problems with pronouncing or even writing his name. The father of, he's known as father of Fluxus usually, but he was also, was father of Soho. Now he was, I met him when he was like 17. He lived in the suburbs here of Brooklyn. And I was editing at that time a Film Culture magazine, and I needed some, he was in art studying already. I needed some help for layout, design, so I engaged him very early, and you know, we began working together very, very early. And later he got interested in cooperative activities. Cooperative, like, okay, he would buy loads of vegetable, like checks with friends, he gets 6, 7 friends, and instead of each one buying their own apples or whatever, he buys for all of them, and it's like in a cooperative system, and for maybe half of the price. It's cheaper that way.
Smart.
So when George got interested in creating, taking over some buildings in the in the area that we know as Soho now, and he lived on West Broadway and Grand. Before that, like in the early '60s, on Canal Street, he was familiar with the area, and he noticed that some buildings are really not used and they are crumbling, and he could, if 10 people could get together, he could easily buy those buildings, and they would be then run, controlled by those 10 people who put the money to buy it. It was easy for him to persuade the owners to sell it to him because there was no more business in the area, and said, okay, here is $80,000. I'm buying this building, and with $80,000, you can go retire, go to New Jersey, buy a house for maybe $20,000, and you can live the rest of your life, you know, there. And he succeeded. Actually, before he died in '78, he had organized about 30. He had bought and organized, because he studied architecture, so he also fixed them all up. And he knew what he was buying because he was an architect, so he checked carefully before buying every building. And so I joined in August '67. We purchased Flux House 2 for $80,000.
Wow.
So I bought ground floor and the basement. It cost me, $8,000.
And this is the Flux House 2 was
Flux House
80,
2.
80 Worcester?
80 Worcester. George Maciunas not only created Soho, then when Soho was full, it jumped over canal and moved into now what's known as Tribeca. Tribeca wouldn't be there if Soho would not have wouldn't have a need to expand, to jump. So that eventually it jumped over on the other side of canal and started moving downtown. And the result eventually was that the whole downtown, south of Houston, completely, or south of Canal, was changed, completely changed into what we have now. So that, thanks to George.